welcome back to the Manosphere Paradigm, the channel where we learn to level up health, wealth, relationships, and hobbies. Today, I want to get into a different type of or take or basically listen to some content creators that out there that I know about um, because I've listened to other podcasts or certain content creators. I've seen them on their podcast or on their platform, and I'm talking about one of the big culture or a big channel or platform that's within the rap or the hip hop type of culture and connected to that is the podcast called the No Jumper podcast with Adam. Is it Adam? I think it's Adam. The guy that used to be bald, that did his implants, he's got cool look about it. He's got a tattoo. I'm not sure if remember if it was a P star or something like that, or E star one, whatever. But I enjoyed the conversation where I came across this video where he spoke to the Liver King. I mean, you guys probably know this dude. He's the guy that's always jacked. I see him in Instagram or on TikTok videos is being made about him, where he consumes raw um, animal organs, liver, and he's into the raw type of lifestyle. But he's got, I mean, he has his family, he has his kids, his wife, everyone is basically participating within this whole raw lifestyle. But he's an interesting dude, and he is having a conversation with about Andrew Tate and the Manosphere. And I thought it was a interesting topic based when it comes to what has been happening over this last couple of weeks and months when it comes to Andrew Tate, and obviously how the Manosphere as well, because of it, has been attacked in so many ways from so many angles. And for me, it's refreshing to see someone with his unique take on life and the way he goes about it, and see what he's got to say and his point of view when it comes to the Manosphere, and how he also then conducts himself and his belief about being a man and masculinity. So I want to get into this conversation, and we can have we can chop it up at the end where we can decide. You know what? It's not you can draw your own conclusions, but for me, it's just to have transparency and have a conversation from completely left field type of um, point of view, but something completely outside of the manosphere type of, I would say, echo chamber, and just having to a refreshing take. So let's have a listen and listen to what they've got to say.
Like, look at how lost young men are, that they are, sort of finding these guys.
Kind of like this go
A lot of
back.
people point to Andrew Tate and say, like, look at how lost young men are, that they are, sort of finding these guys who have these, arguably misogynistic belief systems, and they're sort of latching onto it because young men.
Again, that word misogynistic belief systems, it is something that is thrown around where people is using the word and they have no idea what they're using it in, and if it's something where a man is very masculine and he is very set in him being the leader, that is being viewed as misogynistic in today's egalitarian type of approach for relationships. That clearly doesn't work. So, not to be triggered, let's get back into the video.
Feel like they don't have, anybody who cares about them. They feel kind of lost in this world. Do you see yourself as kind of like an antidote to a lot of these problems that the modern man has? And do you consider yourself part of the manosphere?
I've never heard the manosphere.
You never heard
before.
manosphere? It's a bunch of men online
Yeah.
talking about
But
their
here's what I'll say.
self-interest.
I'm on podcasts, and half the time you don't even know this, but I feel like an idiot, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm in this primal vacuum, this primal bubble. I don't get the news. I don't consume content.
Just before he goes on, I respect that when you are presented with something as a man and you don't know the answer, or you're not aware of, you are not knowledgeable about the subject, then sometimes people try to just go along with it and make themselves look like they know what they're talking about, but they clearly don't. Him being very transparent and honest about it and saying, you know what, I'm an idiot, I don't know a lot about it. For me, I respect that, and because that is a good way to go about and approach things. If you don't know something, don't pretend, just accept I don't know, and But if there's something that you're asked that you can give your viewpoint on because you are obviously knowledgeable about it, or and you have certain life experience that talks to it, then go for it. I really like that.
Right.
Where I don't leave my compounds. I have Liver King Ranch, Lake House, and Beach House. These are places I go. Um, and then when people start talking
Just one thing though, this dude is jacked. He is jacked. Six pack, relax. His arms, it's like bah. And I mean, look at that beard. I mean, my beard kind of like just grows over here. If you can see, it just goes and grows down, 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 down. It doesn't fill up to the sides where it comes down to here. And then this, I would say this patch, I'll put my finger there and there. So that gap never falls up. It's patches, but underneath it's very thick, like his, but just in the spot going down completely. But I mean, when you look at this guy, he clearly looks like he knows what he's doing in the gym, in the way he obviously eats, and the way he's very committed in the way his physique looks. So, man, I can look at him and I can only go in every day and be consistent. I mean, he looks like a guy that's definitely 40 odd, but look how jacked he is. That is commendable
about
and admire, and something that you obviously as men can admire, and no homo, but I mean something that you can be inspired by.
other people or policy or politics, I always say, listen, if you can take personal accountability and responsibility and you got your shit in order, now go get your house in order. And if you can get your house in order, go help your neighbor. And once you can help your neighbor, go help your community. And then we can sit down at dinner and then we can talk about whatever politic or policy or whatever. So people talk to me about people and like relationships going on in the news. I'm like, I really don't know. And I'll joke around and be like, hey, I don't know. That's an attack on my character. That's fucking strike one for you, man. But the truth is, I really don't know.
Right.
And what I actually know about Andrew Tate is so superficial, so
Right.
surface level. You know, so what I'll say is this. There's nothing toxic about masculinity. I believe that men and women are not created equally.
Ah,
Right? I believe that we are complementary and
come on. There is nothing wrong and toxic about masculinity. I mean, that's a mic drop on its own in today's day and age. It's such an obvious thing, but you still have to repeat it because men are being shamed for being masculine and being men because they are not bowing the knee and doing certain things that can allow women to get away with bad behavior. Masculine men stand up for what they believe in. They stand up for what they want, and they have their preferences. They have their boundaries. They set those boundaries in place, and he is going to operate in a certain manner that the woman will submit. Yes, submit to his frame, and then follow and complement, and come and add value to that man's life. That is a view that a lot of men and the way they want their relationship to be, but they are too scared to say it because our environment, in the way we operate today, wants to have egalitarian approach when it comes to the workplace, which is fine. However, when it comes to the home and relationships, it's something that does not work, and is not beneficial for women. So him saying masculinity is not toxic and it's not a bad thing, I commend him for that.
we're complementary opposites of one another, right? This is why a man is called a man and a woman is called a woman because
Exactly.
we're complementary opposites, right? I believe that a man is purpose built for physical strength, to fight, to protect, and to fight, to protect, and to provide, right? I believe that a woman is purpose built for social and emotional strength, to nurture, to nourish, to caretake, and to compassion make. For her, complementary opposite.
Yeah.
From an intellectual and spiritual standpoint, I'm sure it's a level playing field. But we need one another as complementary opposites to express our highest and most dominant form holistically, right? So I don't know if you can you can assign whatever adjective you want to that.
Yeah, no, for me, he's spot on. When it comes to us as a society, we've gone to an extent to completely have everything so equal. And when it comes to having everything equal, and once you start calling out the opposite sex and to holding them accountable for them to play their equal part, then you are being called this the misogyny. the misogynistic viewpoint, and who hurt you, all the wonderful things that you can think of in the shaming language and the repertoire that they possess. But we are different for a reason, and we are purpose built for certain different things. Men are purpose built for strength and the things and provision that goes along with it. Women are purpose built for nurturing. Now, do every man want to be in that level of being purpose built physically? No, not every man, but I say a majority of men. Does every woman want to be the one that is nurturing, want to look after kids, want to have kids, and want to complement and be and slot in with the man that she has picked and decided she wants to be with? No. There is the exceptions where women want to be dominant and they want to be the ones that's ruling things, but that is not the majority. And when we make these statements within the manosphere, we're talking about the majority and the likelihood that most people, or from one gender or the other, is following a certain, um, uh, um, is hardwired for certain things compared to the opposite gender. And I believe our society, because we've gone this route of being completely equal and egalitarian, um, women has taken on certain things that they don't want, and certain men has taken certain things because they've conceded power. And both genders is sitting in this miserable state of operating without outside of that framework, which they have been purpose built for. And that is where I believe a lot of the chaos comes into this world, and a lot of unhappiness and misery comes along with it. So him being spot on saying what he said, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But the majority of men, we are purpose built and we find value in providing and caring for our families and doing the things that's expected of us, aka burden of performance. Women, they want to be with one man and they want to build a life with that one man. Now, sometimes they do get bored. Sometimes social media and the influences from outside do influence them to do some silly things. But if you are a man that is strong and on your square, and you do not allow certain things that is going to come in and negatively impact your relationship, and you are frank about it and you straightforward about it, and you guys can work together and complement each other and build long term, then that is going to be a benefit to you. So far, I like the Liver King. I like the jacked up, the jacked arms. I mean, look at that arms. Like, okay, no more, guys. No more, but come on. This dude is jacked.
Right. But the thing is, I do believe, I know that men are really hurting today.
Mm.
Right. And so I do believe, like I said earlier, that I think the modern day manicured man, he knows that he's meant for more. He doesn't know how to achieve it. Right. And guess what? He wants to be with an 8, 9, or 10. And when I say
Yeah.
that, I don't just mean it physically, right?
Mm,
He wants to level up, but guess what? You got to fucking level up to do that. To
right.
attract your complementary opposite.
There we
I
go.
talk to my kids about this all the time. Like,
Put in the
listen,
work.
if you want to be with a 10, you got to be a 10.
Yeah, because okay, this is the thing about fitness.
If you want to be if you want to be with a 10, you got to be putting in the work to be a 10. I mean, that is some real game right there. If you level up, you put in the work and you work towards making yourself a top 10%, 20, 10 whatever percent man when it comes to wherever you're located and whatever demographic you fall in. At the end of the day, is the more you put in that work and you push money, muscles, game, and frame, you are going to be elevating yourself even further and leveling up and setting yourself apart from other dudes that just wanting to do the mundane, just do the normal, don't push themselves. And once you get and reap those results in life, in reality, you can't complain about it.
Is that for a lot of men, you are aware of the things that you could do that would make you more desirable to the opposite sex or the same sex, if that's a swing. You could have money, you could have cars, you could have a nice house, you could have, a great job or like a lifestyle that would attract a girl or whatever. But if you're a guy with a regular job and you don't really have a lot going for you, your fitness is realistically the most achievable thing. You could become a fucking gym rat and get in great shape. And at the very least, when a woman looks at you, she's going to be able to see this is a guy who has mastery at least over this one part of his
Exactly.
life. And that's the thing that I think is important about fitness and why I really want to lose weight. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with like how I'm viewed or whatever. You know, I've been in a relationship for 6 years. It's not like I really think that's going to change anything in my personal life, but it's the kind of thing where if you exhibit to the world that you have complete control over the most obvious part of your presentation, then that
Okay.
tells the whole world that you're in control of your shit, and that can go a long way. That could maybe
Yeah.
be the
There's
start
a
of you
certain
getting
level
into
of
relationships
discipline
with
in
the people you want to
something.
be with, or
Exactly.
being able to, go further in life, have people
Yeah.
like you more, etc. Your fitness is the one thing that you could just sort of, change your grocery shopping or get a gym membership, and
I
all of a
love that.
sudden you're in the game.
Yeah, strength is absolutely like the fundamental virtue of man,
Right.
right? No other value exists without strength. You got to be alive to philosophize. You need strength.
Mm.
So I would say the way that we look bare chested and the way that we talk, these are outward expressions of what we believe. Usually,
Wow. The way you look bare chested and the way that you talk is an outward expression of what you believe. The Liver King is just dropping gems every every 2 seconds whenever he opens his mouth. I really like this dude, and I'm definitely going to be following and checking out some more of his videos and some of his fitness routines. I mean, I've started my Muay journey. I'm pushing myself, and I like the fact that I'm becoming a bit more agile and stronger when it comes to my what you call it, my muscles, when it comes to balance and your strength, your I mean the muscles that you use when it comes to strengthening your legs and creating basically stability. There we go, stability, muscles, whatever. But I mean also the muscles looking and being a bit more muscular and bigger. I mean that's definitely all of us is working towards whenever you go to the gym. But I mean I'll definitely go check him out and check out some more tips that he has in things that you can have when it comes to your diet, because clearly he has a very unique diet when it comes to mainstream the way people eat nowadays.
you show me a man bare chested, you let me have a 10-minute conversation with him, figure out what their philosophies, their principles are, what do they fight for in life, and I'll tell you if I want that man in my tribe if the zombie apocalypse comes. This is what I like to tell people because a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you wear a shirt?
Exactly. The thing is, a lot of people will talk the talk, but when it comes to walking the walk, that's a different story. Like, I mean, a lot of times you have, I would make the comparison when it comes to the church. I have been in the church for years. I've served in the church within the capacity of a youth leader, capacity of being part of the worship team, the ministry team, done prison ministries, and being involved with a lot of life skills type of projects in schools and so on. So I've been pretty active when it came to being involved in the community. And a lot of times, from a spiritual perspective, you'd encounter some spiritual brothers that we all know and encountered that will tell you, the Lord this and the Lord that, and you need to do this, and morally you need to stop doing that, blah blah blah. However, these are dudes that's extremely fat and overweight, and they got in the church shoes, they got the church best, but the shirt is way out here because the stomach is big AF. Sorry to use that, but I mean, some of them are huge, and they want to talk to you and tell you about spiritually being more controlled and spiritually disciplined in doing certain things and going on and praying for hours on end on do certain things that's going to help you spiritually and build your relationship with God. However, when you look at them physically, they do not display outwardly what they are talking with their mouth and what they are encouraging you to do, because you understand there's a certain level of discipline you need to exercise, and you need to get into a routine with and being consistent when it comes to living out a certain spirituality and following the text and doing certain things when it comes to your spiritual journey. And physically, if you have that discipline in making sure that you watch what you eat, you watch what you drink, and you do certain things in moderation, make sure you have a healthy lifestyle so that you can be having the energy to do certain things that you need to do. That to me shows a bit much more that you are in tune with what you are saying. So I definitely get what the Liver King is saying, because sometimes you hear someone say something and you look at them physically and think to yourself, Are you for real, bro?
You know, how come you don't shave your face? Like, why do you do this stuff? I'm like, well, this is how I've been living for a long fucking time.
Mm.
I'm not going to not do that once I've gotten on social media. But you know what? I wish other people did it too.
Right.
You know, come over to my house. Guess what? We're going swimming. We're going to fucking hang out, my man. We're going to talk for a little while. And if you won't let that guard down, and if you won't reveal your character, you know, then I don't know enough of inputs to know if I want you in my ecosystem or not. But guess what? I'm not surprised when I see a giant like Joe Rogan that's jacked and ripped, articulate as fucking hell, doing what nobody's ever done before,
Right.
right? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. I'm not surprised.
How you do anything? Did you catch that? How you do anything is how you do everything. Ah, love a king. Bah! This guy's on fire.
Every once in a while, actually, I shouldn't say every once in a while, a lot of times you see influencers that are going online that have great physiques, but I always say that cheating doesn't scale, right? They have great physiques, but they're not investing the time to develop themselves socially, emotionally, to deeply connect, which we got to be able to do, you know, to create impact. And they're not sharpening their mental sword, and you can tell by their language. This is why language is so important, because we assign meaning, you know, to what we hear and to what we say. And so I think over time, if you create value, people will pay for your value over time.
Let me tell you though, it's so much worse than you probably think it is in terms of how fried these young kids' minds are by social media and their phones. Where I'm telling you that, like, you know, when we used to have the store on Melrose, I would be around a lot of young people, you know, just who are sort of in the store and hanging out, friends of friends coming around. And so I'm really getting to kind of see what the mind of an average, you know, 18-year-old, 20-year-old, whatever it is in society. And so many of them just seem like they're so lacking in social skills because they're just so used to being able to be on their phone. And you'd see it manifest in weird ways where, you know, somebody'd be like lurking around, like friend of a friend in the group. And then all of a sudden he's like tweeting some shit talk or like putting some shit on his Instagram story that night or some shit. And we're like, whoa, like this dude is so raised by the internet that he thinks that this is a normal way to communicate. And meanwhile, like we're really being around people on a day-to-day basis and how
I mean, I'm 42 now, and when I talk to some of my younger cousins or some of my friends' kids, that is now 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 even, where you can listen to the things that they say. I mean, they clued into each and every whatever new thing, and I mean, we all were like that at that age. But when it comes to their social skills and being able to communicate and being able to be present in the moment when family is spending time and we're catching up, or there's a social gathering where there is a barbecue. You guys call it in the States barbecue, we call it the braai in South Africa. You have that social event, but everyone that's sitting with their phones nowadays. The big thing that everyone is doing is TikTok. They're no longer wanting to spend time, be in the present moment, getting to know the people and catch up with everyone and getting to hear what's going on in their life. It's about get connecting and catching up with the people online so they can stunt and show a certain image that can make them look a certain way, because it's all about stunting. And it's a sad kind of world that we are living in. Sometimes I find myself when I'm in a company, I'm sitting with my phone and I kind of check myself to put it down and to have a discussions. I do catch myself doing the same thing as well. So I am not a saint, but I know that you have to be able to chat to people. If you go out in a social setting, you are there, be present, connect with people, really listen to what they have to say, and not just rush to jump to your phone if you feel awkward, but sit in the moment, enjoy it. And that is something that's kind of like getting lost with a lot of young people nowadays.
having to actually be able to thrive in this environment, you need a lot of, you know, social skills and a lot of street smarts.
This is up to parents.
Yeah.
You know, this is up to parents and role models. You know, I take my kids almost everywhere I go, and when I do that, I make them talk to girls. I don't remember the first time I did that. They literally couldn't talk. And I don't know if you remember when you first started doing that. I do too, and I was horrific.
Terrifying.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you know, and it wasn't until I had done it hundreds of times that it was okay, you know, and then it became my way of life.
That is so powerful. I mean, a simple thing that he, as a father, is there and challenging his sons, not basically just throwing him, go out there and go do your thing, but he's right there, he's present, and he's allowing them to make mistakes and then guiding and mentoring them through those mistakes and making them used to talking to girls. I mean, by the time they are obviously older, they're going to be so used to it and it's going to be normal. And them having that social skill with the opposite sex is going to put them in level themselves up to us to a level where they're just going to be naturally charming or understand to be able to communicate, listen to what they say, not be just put on by the fact that, oh, she's beautiful, whatever the case may be. A lot of guys did not have that mentorship or that guidance, and they learn from their friends. And sometimes that goes definitely goes sideways, sometimes with positive. If there was if you guys supported each other and you kind of like there's a lot of trial and error, but having your dad be there and guiding you through that process is very special, and unique, versus what the norm is out there in today's society where there's a lot of single parenthood.
And then I remember when I met my wife, I was on a chairlift and I saw a girl, and I was like, okay, I see a girl. This is what I do. I'm going to go take a rep. This is how I met my soulmate,
Right.
right? Because I take those reps because of the social interaction, because our ability to connect deeply,
Right.
and you get so much out of that. So I want to just make sure, my kids also have that skill. I believe that you can learn that skill, but I see the same thing. I see this sort of really awkward interaction and how people are attempting to communicate today.
Right.
And there's this connection that's missing. And so again, this is one of my 9 ancestral tenets. I say, put down the goddamn phone and let's do this stuff real life in person. And guess what? The first several times it's going to be horrific, right? But I just tell my kids, hey, just to say, first say it with your body language. I tell them, say it with your body language. And I always say, listen, it's not even what you say, it's how you say it.
There we
People
go.
rarely remember what you ever said.
Yeah.
They're going to remember how you made them
Energy
feel.
that you gave
So what you
them
need to
and
do
how
is
you
go
made
over
them
there, and you already know your worth,
Exactly.
value, and potential. You keep your shoulders back. You keep your chest up. Hey, how's it going?
I look back on times where I did that in my life, like times where I, just cold approached a girl at the coffee shop and sparked up a conversation and got her phone number. That could be the best fucking feeling in the world, because for some reason
Yeah.
the most basic human interaction can be the most overwhelming feeling if you're a dude.
Exactly. I mean, oh, he's taking me back to my journey and my 20s, where I was all about it's a hit and a miss. 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 It's a numbers game. You go in there, you strike out, you strike out, you go back in. ah, on the second pitch, you struck out at least twice, but third strike, no third strike, you connected and you got to first, second, third, fourth, whatever bloody base you wanted to get to, and how the interaction went. I can remember a lot of times where you saw a girl, or at least I saw a girl, and I liked what I saw. I said to myself, no, I'm definitely going over. I um basically went over, talked to her, got to know her name, obviously. Spoke to her, and then had an interaction, had a conversation, and you trying to be all charming and being all suave about it and cool about it, and whatever shit there she throws your way, you just basically try to make sure that you pass them in a way, in a manner that comes off as though this is normal for you and you encounter this all the time because you deal with hot women and you deal with certain level of girls, so this is nothing for you. But you are standing there talking and you are winging it. Obviously, after a while, you start seeing a pattern, you start behaving, you start kind of like tweaking your approach, tweaking your game, tweaking your conversation level, seeing who you're dealing with. And although each and every goal was different, there was a different, there was the same approach that you go. And we obviously back in the day, getting a number was a big thing. You set up a date, or if the connection was that good and she was really feeling you, a date wasn't necessary if you knew or know what I mean. So that was definitely one of the good things, coming up back in the day, especially in the 2000s and what was it, early 2010s, when it came to seeing a girl, cold approaching that girl, having the game to pull the number, or having the game to basically get to something that you both will enjoy, but also going out there not knowing the outcome, not being invested in that outcome, but just going out having a good time, playing the field, and then based on the way you spit your game, you got a positive result, and going home and just replaying that through your mind in everything that you've experienced for the night and whatever further nights. At the end of the day, just having that confidence, going through the experience, getting to know that person, and walking that journey, that is so much more, where you will build the confidence in knowing that you've seen something, you've gone for it, you have kind of like had that connection, and whatever you build from there, whatever transpires of there, so be it. But it all started with you having the balls to go over, checking out that you're getting the right choosing signals, or if you weren't, just having the balls to just go out and see how things is going. You know what? That was a hell of a good feeling.
Yeah.
Just sparking up a conversation. But you understand why is because, a lot of girls are like in the most guarded mental state possible when they're out in public, because such a large percentage of the dudes who try to have a conversation with them are going to be the weirdest motherfuckers on
Yeah.
earth,
So this is what we're up against.
Yeah.
And I tell them, so we rehearse this. I'm like, listen, it hardly ever goes well. They look weird. They can't believe somebody's talking to them.
Right.
Or a lot of times when we go places, they might be touristy places. These young girls are with their families, And so it's acknowledging the dad too. Hey, dad, how's it going? Really just want to say hi to your daughter.
Yeah.
And again, like it's just getting those reps in. So because of this environment, because of what people expect today, they're up against a wall. But we're going to keep doing this, right? This is important to me. You know the value in it. It's going to be rarely rare. You're going to have outliers that have achieved a whole lot in life. And I think you're going to have outliers that also have fulfillment. But I believe that you need this skill. You need to be able to deeply connect to really, truly be fulfilled. And that's going to help you to achieve whatever you're going after.
All right, people, we just hit 300,000
That is so right. You know what? For me,
subscribers. We're trying to hit 4.
okay. No, that's not what I want. Here we go. So for me, I think that was a damn good interview with the Liver King on the No Jumper podcast. He definitely has some good points when it comes to the fact that if he does not know something, he's not going to pretend like he knows it. And the second thing is how he has articulated and discussed and made the point about how society does not have the ability, and the youngsters unfortunately as doesn't have the ability to connect and talk to each other. Everyone is online, but how he's teaching his sons to overcome that fear of approaching girls, approaching them and having conversations, being normal about it, and becoming better and better in doing it in a charming manner, and also understanding the environment. If there is, like he says, the touristy environment and there's a dad with them, he acknowledges the dad, shows that respect. Being mindful of those things helps you a lot, and him being there every step of the way and guiding his sons, I mean, that is amazing and definitely commendable and very unique when, like I said, in today's day and age. And like he mentioned also, he brings it back to fitness. We're going to get that reps in. You're going to do it over and over, and you're going to become more and more comfortable. And for me, that is a good approach. And like I said, I'm definitely going to be checking out some more of the Liver King and hearing what he's got to say. Also following his diets and trying some of them out and see what the results is, and reporting to you guys and showing you these results. So you know what, this was a good chat with the Liver King on the No Jumper podcast, and I want you guys to hit the like button. Let me know what you guys think about with the points that's been raised in the discussion. Do you agree with them? Do you agree when it comes to the way Adam opened the discussion with Andrew Tate and the Manosphere, and sitting back and thinking, okay, let's see what's going to come his way? I really like the way the Liver King answered that, and also the fact that Adam was open to the direction that the Liver King took the conversation and just flowing with it, and not having this preconceived or pre-arranged type of narrative that he wanted to push. That is what I like: open and robust discussion, and it's definitely going to be something that you can learn from and enjoy, be informative, educational, entertaining, and definitely something that you can debate about in the comments. So thank you for checking this video out. I'll see you guys in the next vid. Cheers. I'm out.